If we stop being beggars and spend Africa's monies inside the continent, Africa would not need to ask for respect from anyone. We would get the respect we deserve.
Hello, kings and queens, sons and daughters of our beautiful continent, Africa. There is something that I don't understand. I want to hear from you. Why Africa we are poor? Africa we have resources. If you talk about natural resources, you talk about Africa. If you talk about gold, you talk about uranium, you talk about manganese, you talk about phosphate, you talk everything that you want to talk. You talk about oil, you are talking about Africa. But still Africa is poor. I don't understand this. Maybe you can help me to understand this. Africa, we see we have been given food aid, but when you talk about a horrible land to produce enough food, you are talking about Africa. If you talk about a fertile land, you talk about Africa. But Africa is the continent that is being fed by Russians. We see food aid from Russia. Africa is fed by Americans. We see food aid from America. We see food aid from China. Africa is the continent that is fed by others. What's wrong with the people of Africa? I don't understand this. I don't understand this totally, my dear brothers and sisters. I'm trying to brainstorm myself here, but I didn't understand. If you look at the map of Africa, you find that Africa is a continent that have big rivers like River Nile, River Congo, River Fiji, River Tanga. Of course, we have these great lakes like Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Malawi, and Lake Nyasa. But Africa, we have a shortage of water. Does this make sense? Does this make sense to you? Who owns these resources? What Africa are we lack? I see Africans deny to be Africans. I see Africans in Europe saying they are not Africans, they are Europeans. I see Africans in America are denying to be Africans. They are saying they are Americans. Yes, I believe what they are saying, but they must understand their originality, that they came from Africa. Their ancestors are coming from Africa. All of us, we know very well that Africans during slavery taken from this continent to Europe in some places, to America to work in plantation, to Caribbean, to Southern America to work in farms. All of us, we know, and we read this history. I don't know, maybe those who are in Europe or America, they didn't know this history. But we who are the continent, we know very well that our ancestors, our brothers and sisters have been taken from this continent and go there. Africa is a continent that has a shortage of electricity. We are talking about industrialization, kings and queens. How can we industrialize this continent while we have a shortage of electricity? But remember that we have uranium that is powering some European countries. We have waterfalls that can help us to produce more electricity, like the Inga project, Kariba, Rufiji, and others. We have sun throughout of the year, but it's Africa that has a shortage of electricity. What's wrong with us? Africa has ingredient minerals, essential minerals that have been used to build these electronic devices, coltan and others, are found here in the continent of Africa, but no single industry in Africa that are producing or manufacturing electronic devices like mobile phones, laptops, and others. What's wrong with us, the people of Africa? What's wrong with us? We have been fed by others. You see, Chinese providing food aid to Africa, America providing food aid to Africa, Russia provide food aid to Africa. But when you talk about the continent that has horrible land, fertile land, you talk about Africa. You talk about Africa. Africa has polite people that welcomed every civilization. We welcomed missionaries. We welcomed Europeans who later became our colonial master. We welcomed Chinese, and still they are here. We are welcoming Americans. They are building their military base here. Even the Europeans, they have built their military base here. We have welcomed Russians, they are here. We have welcomed Arabs, are here. Africa, what's wrong with you, our mother, Africa? You are so polite, but we don't see development in you, Mother Africa. Conflict is everywhere. As I speak to you now, brothers in Sudan are racing against each other. As I speak to you now, the Eastern Congo is not at peace. As I speak to you now, in Sahel, the young leaders, young soldiers are fighting with terrorists there. As I speak to you now, Nigeria, northern part of Nigeria is not at ease. Almost 300 school children have been abducted. Africa is not at ease. In Libya there, no peace, my brothers and sisters. Northern Mozambique there, there's no peace. But we have everything. We have everything. What are we lack, my dear brothers and sisters? That's what I'm just asking myself. I want to share this with you. What are we lack, the people of Africa? We are so polite. We have resources. Africa, we have so intelligent. We have intelligent people. We have more doctors outside of this continent than the doctors who are in this continent. We have more professionals out there than in the continent. What are we lack? What are we lack? I'm just seeking to know what are we lack. Africa, our roads are not built by Africans. Our infrastructures are built by Chinese, by Europeans, by Americans, are not built by Africans. Where is our engineers? Where is our professionals? Everything we take from outside. What's wrong with us, the people of Africa? We don't believe in ourselves. We have self-hate. I don't know. What are we lacking as the people of Africa? I'm saying this, it is paining me to see the continent that has everything, but the poorest continent. It's the continent that the people or her people is suffering. How does this make sense? How can I tell my grandchildren that Africa is a beautiful continent? Africa is the richest continent. How can I convince them, my grandchildren? I'm just trying to find the answer. We have been fed by others. They will ask me, what have you done to feed your people, to feed your community? What have you done to use uranium that God has given you? What have you done to use this gold? What have you done to use your diamond? What have you done to use these suns that God has given you? What have you done to use these waterfalls that can produce enough electricity? What have you done with your uranium? They will ask me. I don't have answers. They will see me as a lazy people. They will not recognize me as a human being who have maximum brain. They will see me as a crazy. God has given us everything. How can you come out and become beggars from this country that are so in desert like Israel? It is paining, but I have to speak this. It is paining, but I have to speak this. So kings and queens, we have to think about this. We have to talk about this. We have to say about this. We need to move from here as the people of Africa. We need to move out of this situation. We want Africans to be industrialized so that we can produce opportunities, job opportunities for our young men and women. We need to industrialize this continent. We need to produce enough food so that we cannot become beggars and be controlled by others. We want to add value to our resources so that our coming generation will be hired in these industries. We have a great duty to do, the people of Africa. I don't want to speak for too long, but let me for today end it here. I know it is paining, but I have to speak this. There's no way we can keep silence. We can talk about maybe political issues, whatever, but who is in the politics? It is we, the people of Africa. Who are in power? It is Africans. Why we are allowing to be driven by others? That's the big question. What have you done for the betterment of our mother continent, Africa? We need to change. We need to make this continent at work. We need to have self-determination. We need to wake up. We need to do what is good and right for this continent.